Hello, welcome. We've got delighted to be joined by Crossmaglen Rangers footballer James Morgan for the launch of this year's AIB GA All-Ireland Cup Championships. This season, AIB will honour, hashtag the toughest players in Gaelic games. Those who persevere no matter what, given their all for the club and the community. AIB is celebrating its 11th year as proud sponsors of the AIB Mogi All-Ireland Cup Championships and its 33rd year supporting the AIB GA All-Ireland Cup Championships. James, that was long-winded, but eventually I'm getting to you. How are things?
Hello, Shane. How's things? Thanks for having me on.
Well, what's it been like just this run again? You obviously won the Armagh title the other day, but you were 4 points down, I think, at one stage. I know there was a black card maybe early in the second half.
After the goal, we went down by 4 points, and then they kind of retreated for a while. And fortunately, that gave us an opportunity to clip together a couple of points before the break. Now, it's tight going in at the break, and then they get the black card just at the start of the second half, and after that we got a bit of a foothold in it. Paul Hughes got two scores that swung momentum in our favour and gave other lads an opportunity to press up on kicks. He got a mark on the top of the D, and as he kicked that, we pressed up. We had the extra man, and we kind of got to squeezing them in that 10-minute period. Put a bit of a gap between us, and then it made it very hard for them to really claw back, So,
okay. Well, just in terms of like the amount of titles you won, you didn't win it there in 2020 and 21 when Mahary and Clonairon sort of took over a little bit. You'd won a few before that, and then God knows how many before that as well. Like, what's brought you back up to the top of the pile again? Has there been some sort of change? I know that, maybe in the last year that you've been taken over by Anthony Cunningham, who obviously led you to an All-Ireland before.
Yeah, well, the two games you're talking about, that was with Stephen, and when we were kind of building together as a group. Now, we were still knocking about them. They were narrow defeats both times. We then got our act together and won that championship last year with Stephen. We had all those kind of foundations in place. Boys were starting to come together. The younger players were getting a wee bit more physical and a wee bit more, we got a better understanding of what we were trying to do. Unfortunately, then we went into Ulster last year, and we were outplayed essentially by Ballabay, but we took a lot of learnings from that. There's things that we were doing well that we kept on for this year, and then with Anthony coming in, he's built on a lot of those things. But from my own point of view, I haven't really seen a whole pile of training because I was kind of not driving, but being more mobile now. I was in the dressing room for the first time there at the weekend, and I was in amongst the boys, and I was out with them Sunday night, and you can really see a group starting to come together. It's exciting, and it's given me a wee bit more motivation as I begin my own rehab.
Yeah, will you talk to me about your injury, the incident and what you've been going through?
Well, just this summer I had kind of a trio of injuries which have cocktailed together nicely. I've torn the plantar fascia in the bottom of my foot, which is a difficult one because of the blood supply, and it's hard to kind of get a foothold of healing. I've had 3 injections on it to try and maybe get me out of the woods there. I'm in a really good place with that. And, while I've been rehabbing and while I was playing during the summer as well, unfortunately, I had hurt my hip again, and I've had to get another operation on the hip. So I'm 6 weeks or 5 weeks, should I say, post-op on the hip. That's going quite well. And then the wrist as well. I've got some titanium anchors secured into my right wrist. But fortunately, with the latter 2 injuries, I've had the exact same injury on my left wrist. So I know what the recovery entails, and I know that I can get back from it. And the same thing about the hip. I think the chance to recover and rehab something like this properly could maybe extend my career somewhat.
I believe the plantar fasciitis is incredibly painful, is it?
Yeah, it's just it's difficult because you're kind of standing all the time and you're kind of walking on it, and it's like pressed on a bruise, so you're not really giving it a chance to heal. So I immobilized it in the boot there for a couple of times to try and offload it, and it feels quite good at the minute. So that's the only one where I'm unsure about. It's kind of annoying me in a way, but if I can get a handle on that, I'm pretty confident that I can rehab the other 2 injuries and get back playing. Like, it'd be great if I'll put that in the Christmas list this year that Cross are still playing football in January, and hopefully I can tie back in with the squad at that stage. That's my target, really.
Right. Okay. Do you think there is a possibility of being ready for then?
Well, I'll be back training as such in January, back training and on the pitch. And there's a lot to be said for that, just being in and around it rather than, there's nothing worse. You'd be sitting in the house wishing you were out of training no matter what the weather is like, in a way, to an extent, and that's what you miss more so than even the games. Like when I'm at the game, I do feel like I'm there and I'm part of it. But when you're missing training, it's tough. It's tough to get your head around,
And just what was it like for you watching the other day? And a special word, I suppose, for Aaron Kernan to win 18 county titles. I know Paul Hirty, I think, has 19, but 18 as an outfield player at the age of 39, unbelievable.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem to be showing any signs of slowing down. I've already said how much of a fierce competitor Aaron Kernan is, and any challenge that's kind of put in front of him, he seemed to grab it with both hands. I'd love to maybe Paul Hirty could slag him about the 19 for another wee while, and if he stays involved to get to 20, it would be great. It would be great for us, and it would be great to for the younger players to see what he does, because not only his footballing ability, but it's his work rate that kind of sets him apart.
What were the celebrations like the other day? And for you, was it hard to buy into it fully, or were you able to be just as much of an ape as everyone else in the celebration?
No, I wasn't particularly. I didn't celebrate particularly hard, but I was in the club on Sunday evening, and then I didn't go celebrating on Monday, more or less because of the injury, because I'm just kind of out of the boot, and I've just got the brace off, so I'm starting my rehab this week, and I don't want any setbacks at the beginning, because I've put a good few months slog or under my belt. I just want to get over the line there, so I missed a bit of crack yesterday, but hopefully there'll be more crack in the future.
And of course, Crossmaglen has such a storied history, but I'm just curious at the moment about the sort of coaching acumen that you have there. And I'm looking at, you've got Tony McEntee over Sligo. John McEntee came very close the other day against Scottstown when in a scheme, who Oisin McConville previously managed, and obviously Oisin's been with Cheese over Wicklow. Like, you have a huge amount of, and Joe Kernan, of course, as well. This must really feed into the general sort of preparation, intelligence, whatever you might say about every Crossmaglen player coming through.
Yeah, well, I suppose they probably like the philosophy that kind of you associate with Crossmaglen, of how they kind of play the game and go at it. And that's even what Anthony's come. Anthony's obviously he's captain Cross to success, and he still has those same principles of how the game should be played. But we're just trying to get a wee bit more cuter and develop with other teams, and maybe try to be a wee bit more defensive, or try to change things up a wee bit so that we can maybe go on a bit of a run and be successful in Ulster. But fortunate enough to have a couple of coaches and managers doing the circuit there. You've got Tony Kernan as well is down and in the scheme helping out. So there's good development there on the coaching front.
Yeah,
and opportunity to get them back in.
And obviously you'd be up to 90 just operating with Armagh all year. But would you have kind of kept much of an eye on Oisin with Wicklow, for example, or Tony with Sligo?
Yeah, you see a lot of Oisin. It's hard to look anywhere without running into Oisin, isn't there? He gets involved, but I have been keeping an eye on him and Tony and that there, and I'm sure they're getting on well. Luckily enough, we had some success under Tony and got to experience that with John and Oisin as well, and that was great. Yeah, that was a great experience.
Yeah,
they were with their own club.
Now this could be a mile off yet, but I have to ask you. I mean, ultimately, if you keep winning and Clonmel Commercials keep winning, because Oisin has an involvement with Clonmel Commercials at the moment, that would be quite a funny one if you had to come up against Oisin. I'm sure he wouldn't love it being up against his native club.
I'd say he'd park it. Like, we got that a couple of years ago. We played Clontibbert, and one of the McAtees were over Clontibbert as well. So there is that there, coming back to your club and trying to put that to one side. But sure, what can you do? I think it just builds to the crack and a bit of slagging and a bit of story to around the town.
Yeah. Can you tell me what your thoughts were with the year with Armagh there? Do you know what, like the last couple of years even, Where do you think you're at? Like, you look like you're right on the edge of, really making that massive breakthrough all the time, but hasn't quite gone to where I suppose you feel it can go.
Yeah, well, we've lost the last 3 big games we've lost. We lost out in penalties. So I don't know, maybe we go and start practicing penalties. That's kind of one narrow-minded way of looking at it. Or you could kind of sit back and go, right, well, we're not maybe too far away here. What happened during the game? Why did we not get over the line? Maybe there was a late free kick that we conceded, or maybe we didn't keep possession to get a score. And it's just closing out them games. Maybe we'll have to be better at if we do want to get over the line and ultimately win some silverware at the end of the day, which would be our big target.
I mean, like, what's it like going through those penalty shootouts? I know you're not up taking the penalties, but
it's not too bad for me. Like, I'm kind of standing back, holding on to someone, but yeah, it takes a lot of stomach for the lads to walk up and hit them. Just thinking back, it's still, I feel like I'm even standing there now watching them, just heartbreaking. But what can you do?
Yeah, and then heading into 2024, do you think it'll be like, will there be any massive change under Kieran McGeeney, or will you just keep trying to refine the same thing that seems to be bringing you close? But look, we've kind of said it, very unfortunate on the penalties, but will you keep just doing more of the same and hope that gets your line?
No, we'll have to develop in some way. Every team changes every year, and if you do the same thing, like, you're not going to grow either. But I think a lot of what we're doing right. We just need to, I'm going to let the experts figure out what we have to do. We just have to listen to them and trust them. And there is massive buy-in from the players there to do what the manager's telling us. So hopefully it eventually works out for us. We get reward for working hard.
And Jerry O'Burns has stepped away as well. That's a bit of a blow.
Yeah, it is. I suppose it's frustrating from my point of view, or the likes of, maybe a senior player. You're sitting there in the latter stage of your career, and you want the best players there, and you want to be playing with Charlie O because he's a quality footballer. But at the same time, I'm not going to begrudge Charlie. I haven't been speaking to him yet, but when I was 25, I went and took a year out as well, so we can't really turn around and begrudge him that either. But ideally, you want the best players in the county playing for the county. But I'm sure he'll come back and play again when he gets whatever he needs to do out of the system. And
when you took your year out, did you do some travelling and stuff like that?
Yeah, I just went away. Yeah, I took a year out in 2018 and went to Australia. So I can't give out to Charlie.
Did you live it up?
That's not that I'm saying he's going travelling. I haven't even been speaking to him, but sure, whatever he's at, maybe to shower the head and refocus, he'll come back. I came back in Hungary in 2018 and got injured, typically enough. But hopefully Charlie comes back, and if I'm still there, I'll be grateful to have the best players there. Like,
do you think having Mickey Hart's change in team, Jim McGuinness back, it adds just that extra X factor to Ulster next year to make it even more exciting?
It adds a wee bit of more excitement, particularly if you see how Louth responded to Mickey Hart coming in. So you imagine he's going to give that same kind of lift into Derry, and then with Jim McGuinness coming back in, it's more headlines and more stories. So it'll be a nice melting pot leading into the summer.
I'll do a quick little Q&A just to finish up. They're not that serious, and you can answer them as shorter as long as you like. But what do you remember of your first time ever going to Croke Park? Now, this can be as a player or as a kid or whatever.
First time was the 2002 campaign. I remember I was sitting beside my grandfather, and there was a fella with a blowhorn with a Kerry jersey on, and by the end of the game, my granddad was blowing the horn, and the wee fella wasn't blowing it. And I just remember the colours, and I remember just it was like it's nearly like a sensory overload. I think being in Croke Park, like, you've got the noise and the colours and the smells. Like, you're not going to experience that playing anywhere else.
So it sounds like a very positive one. Who's your favourite player of all time?
Favourite player of all time? Francie Ballia.
Right, okay. Do you model your game on his?
Old school. Probably wouldn't be as robust as Francie, but I try my best.
Who's been your toughest opponent?
I hate that question. Who's giving me the biggest toasting? Is that what that means?
No, you could have broken even as well. Could have been one of your days.
I've marked McManus a few times. It was good. I tell you what, I've learned more in a half an hour marking Desi Dolan than I have in probably over 10 years playing football. in the All-Ireland final in Croke Park. Thankfully, it went to a replay, and I got to mark him again, but that was a tough enough day.
Okay. What's the team you most like to beat? This could be club, county, college, whatever.
Who would I most like to beat? Club?
Team, do you enjoy most? It could be club, county, whatever.
I'd love to get a Rapid Kilcoo because I'm friendly with a couple of the boys and I'd like to get stuck into them.
Right, okay. Your proudest day playing GAA?
Proudest day was probably winning an All-Ireland minor with Armagh and going back down the road and taking that home. Yeah. This is supposed to be quick fire. I'm not doing it right now.
I know, it's good. Who's been the biggest influence in your career?
Me grandfather.
Favorite stadium to play in?
The Athletic Grounds. Ronan keeps it off a lad.
Biggest disappointment in your career?
Injuries. Getting injured. Probably the toughest part of football.
Who's the best trainer that you've ever played in a county club? Who?
Aaron Kearney.
Aaron Kearney. Who's the best dressed and who's the worst dressed?
The worst dressed is Andy Morgan.
Right, okay.
And the best dressed would be... that's a tough one, yeah. There's none of them sitting there. I'll give it to Jamie. It's probably a cop-out.
Yeah, okay. What player from another sport do you admire?
Michael Jordan.
And what manager from another sport do you admire?
Bill Belichick.
Okay. Well, look, that's brilliant stuff, James. Best of luck with the injuries and hopefully we'll chat again soon.
Thank you very much. See you later.